What's going on? I'm Eric from Lean Labs, and listen, I actually want to start off with a story today. A story about a man by the name of Charles Blondin. Charles Blondin was a French tightrope walker from the 1800s. He was world renowned. He had a big reputation. He's actually sat on the desk on the tightrope. He's cooked an egg on the tightrope, crossed Niagara Falls on the tightrope. He was a big deal. And during the end of one performance where the crowd was just loving him, they were just eating it up. And he decides to go for his grand finale. And so he gets up and he says, how many of you think I can take a man across to the other side on a tightrope? And they all super excited from all the other amazing things they saw him do. They all yell and proclaim, yes, you can do it. We believe you. You can do it. So then he says to them, awesome. The crowd is super fired up, got Charles fired up. And so he says to them, which one of you want to get in the wheelbarrow? And the crowd kind of looks at each other, looks at him, and nobody was willing to get in Charles Blondin's wheelbarrow. And the story is often told to illustrate one point. It's a lot easier to say you believe something when your feet are on the ground. You're really not demonstrating how much you believe anything until you are willing to get in the wheelbarrow. Now, I wouldn't bet that the majority of people watching this have never stepped foot on a tightrope, much less a tightrope in the wheelbarrow, but the story is still motivating. Matter of fact, you can change the point of the story. Let's say you told that same story, but instead the end was not everybody that says they're with you are really with you. It's still motivating. It's still impactful. Why? Because the power of the message is in the story itself. Seth Godin says marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories you tell. To survive in the modern marketplace, every brand has to be a storyteller. And what is one of the most important stories that you will tell? Your own. The story of who you are. The story of who you are and why customers should care is going to be one of your most important resources, so you better tell it well. In this video, we're going to help you understand the elements of crafting an effective brand narrative to help you turn your potential customers into passionate advocates for your brand. So what is a brand narrative? At its most basic level, your brand narrative is like your organization's superhero origin story. Who are you and why do you exist? And perhaps most important, what makes you unique, relatable, and worth supporting? An effective brand narrative is going to help you build trust and reliability between you and your ideal customer. Jonah Berger notes in his book, Contagious, Why Things Catch On, that stories provide proof by analogy. Think about this. When was the last time you read or even wrote your own customer review that did not have a story attached to it? See, stories help us communicate and to share our experiences. And shared experiences is one way that we build trust. When crafting your brand narrative, think about this. What do you want your ideal customer to understand about your brand? A compelling brand narrative typically has these three things in common: a backstory and a wall. How did you get started in your industry? And more importantly, what issue did your business encounter that ultimately made your business what it is today? What is the wall you kept running up against that you decided you had to do something about? So ideally, this wall would also be something that your target customer is struggling with and will be interested in getting your help with resolving. So for an example, our founder, Kevin Barber's wall was this.
So the first thing I did is prior to Lean Labs, I built websites the wrong way for about a decade. I assumed that if we just built them a substantially better website, then everything would take off, but almost none of them did. And then it's like everyone was happy with their website, but they had no strategy for growth from there. And then I kind of came into the inbound marketing deal of 2009 through 2015, where people were like, oh, but if we just go out and we create enough content and we drive them to a website, then everything will be successful. But the fact is does every single company that does inbound content win? Does every single company that has content marketing win? There's got to be more to this.
So this was his wall and the wall of Lean Labs brand narrative. What is the key to profitable, scalable growth beyond just a pretty website? Next is going to be journey and discovery. Now it's time to get to the meat of your story. You identified a major problem in your industry in the previous section. Next up, how did you figure out how to solve that problem? What did you try that worked? What did you try that failed? And ultimately, what is the answer that you found, and what did you discover that allowed you to tear down that wall? And so the next one is going to be your mission. You encountered this problem and you discovered an answer. Now it's time for the big reveal. How can you share this information with your target audience in a way that will show them you can help them achieve the same success you found? Show your audience the steps you took and the systems you now have to allow you to overcome this obstacle and have repeated results that can help your customer. Stories also transmit ideas. Stories can act as a Trojan horse of ideas and concepts that you want your customers to feel and think about your brand. Stories have far more influence on our perspectives than bland facts and statistics. So let me illustrate this. What is the difference between these two examples? Example one, Joe Smo is a great customer service rep. He always goes above and beyond for his customers. Example number two, Joe Smo is a great customer service rep. He once stayed overtime just so he can call the customer back at the exact time that he said that he would. That customer was so blown away that she called the corporate office in tears just to say how grateful she was for all of Joe Smo's help. Now, which of these will provide a more moving and favorable impression of Joe? And it's a no-brainer. In the first example, you just have to take my word for it that Joe is good at his job. In the second one, I paint a picture for you in the form of a story, and you can see it for yourself. Similar to how telling Joe's story influenced your perception of the fictional Joe, your brand narrative is a helpful way to influence how people see your brand. Tell your story in a way that your ideal customer sees themselves in your brand. A brand narrative is important because it allows us to connect with our customers on an emotional level. It helps your brand feel more relatable and honest because we can connect and bond together on shared values. All right, so consider this your brand narrative 101. If there's any part of the brand narrative process that you would like us to go deeper about, let us know in the comment section. Let's continue this conversation. Hope you guys are enjoying this. If you like this video, make sure you hit it with a like. If this video has helped you, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video. All right, take care, and we will see you later.